Hey everyone, this is Chris. Welcome back to the channel. So the markets seem to be down today, mostly on the stuff that we've been talking about for a while now, and it's sort of a combination of fears on what's going on with China and Taiwan, and also what's going on with chips. In fact, I think it was a couple days ago, Nvidia sort of gave a down sort of forecast, and then now Micron is doing the same thing as well. Um, there's a lot of uncertainty in the world. There has been for a while, and that's sort of why I've been saying all along, like, I don't know why our markets are going up, like what's causing it. But sometimes it's sort of a technical bounce to where things get cheap, they fall far enough, algorithms kick in and say, hey, things are cheap, let's buy. Shorts also cover, and then people realize, wait a minute, things aren't so great, and they start going back down again. One of the things that I am concerned about is what's going on with China and Taiwan. And so my understanding of the situation at the moment is basically China keeps extending how long they're going to do military drills in the Taiwan Straits. So that's basically the body of water between China and Taiwan. And essentially, if China keeps doing military drills perpetually, like say forever, it makes it very, very difficult for Taiwan to ship any goods in and out. So someone in the comments asked me what I think about Taiwan Semiconductor. So, as a whole, yes, Taiwan Semiconductor is a great company. But, all the chips are going to move together, and also to much of the world is dependent on what is China doing. And frankly, I don't know what President Xi is up to. There's been a lot of tough rhetoric coming out, from his administration about, Taiwan is part of China and this kind of stuff, and he's cracking down more on Hong Kong. And this is a contentious issue. And whenever you make these kind of videos, this is for real, guys. Sometimes you'll get some sort of basically China apologists or Chinese propagandists writing stuff in comments and things of this nature. You guys know I'm an American citizen. I believe in freedom. I believe in freedom of speech, and it's a very real thing. I'm telling you guys, I used to teach in Beijing at Tsinghua University. Chinese propaganda is a real thing, and the war of social media is also a real thing. But just understand, make it very, very clear. People generally want freedom. They want freedom of speech. They want freedom of free markets and things of that nature. And one of the big fears for people who are, especially the younger people who are, citizens of Taiwan, they don't necessarily want to rejoin China and then lose all of their freedoms. I mean, that's not something that people want. It's the same thing with people in Hong Kong. So I'm sure you guys can understand that as Americans watching this. My feeling on the market's been the same all the way through. Even if the stocks do go up, say as they've been doing the last month, I just don't know how much higher they would go, because basically the question you need to ask yourself is, if you take a look at a company, we'll just talk about say Apple or Nvidia or AMD. Is the situation of that company better today than it was say last year or 2 years ago? And the argument you'd have to make for stocks to go up essentially say, oh well, people bought a whole bunch of PCs, people bought a whole bunch of data centers, people bought a whole bunch of chips say last year, and we expect the demand to keep continuing to rise. I don't think so. I just don't think so. I don't think demand is going to be there. Also too, we have to worry about supply chains with China, so you're dealing with supply chain demand. I noticed that oil prices are going up again. Let's see, as I'm recording this, oil's at 92. It seems like if the range of oil ends up being we'll say between 80 and 130 or whatever it's going to be, which is quite a wide range actually, if you think about it. That's essentially how our markets are going to behave. You're looking at oil prices, bond yields. The reason why oil prices affect sort of the profit margins that companies have, bond yields sort of affect basically when people are deciding, okay, do I want to put my money in stocks? Do I want to put money in bonds? Bonds essentially guaranteed returns. And so if their guaranteed returns are high on bonds, why bother with stocks when it carries a lot of risk, right? The other two to think about it as well is, what is the dollar doing? Currency exchange, and this is sort of the world that we live in right now, right, is because we're all connected, these fluctuations affect also too how much profit companies make, right? So if the dollar is strong and currencies are weak in other countries, when companies like a Microsoft or Apple sell things to other countries, they're not making as much money because the foreign currency isn't that much. It's kind of the same as what it's been. Markets are really, really tough to read right now because, my mind is like, why are things rallying? I don't see anything positive. The argument you would make for why stocks would rally from here's the argument you would make, is that basically inflation has peaked, we're starting to come down, and therefore, everything's going to get better. But I just don't see that happening. I don't see inflation going crazy, crazy high and then suddenly coming back down and it's over. I don't think it's going to be like that. That's just my opinion on that one. Also, too, I keep seeing warning signals from various companies that they're not hiring or freezing hiring. I know that the jobs report came out okay, right? But I feel like some of these jobs are essentially travel. And this is something that I think might happen. I want to get you guys' opinion on this one as well. I think there is a world where, let's say, airlines, cruise lines, Disney, all these type of companies, just for example, they go crazy on hiring because they're expecting all these people to be out traveling, because there is demand for traveling. Like, we just flew from Korea and the plane was full, right? And that's just, simple example, but my understanding is people are tired of being locked up and there is some demand for traveling, right? However, this happens with any situation where companies just overhire. So there is a world where, say, all the travel companies overhire essentially. Demand tapers off way more than we expect, say, 6 months from now. And then suddenly you have all these companies that, say, in the travel industry, that overhire, and then they're going to start laying off. I know tech right now is slowing down, either job freezes or laying off workers. We've seen that on headline after headline after headline. And we'll see if my scenario of travel is right. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that there could be a world where travel does overhire. As of now, though, I don't think things are, like, how can I say, like, crazy bad. I just feel like companies are overvalued in our market. And so it makes me sort of reticent to say, hey, everybody, time to buy stocks. Everything's super cheap. I just don't feel like that. I think you can make the case, though, that some stocks are fair valued, but it doesn't mean they're cheap. So that's why there's never a rush, like, hey, you have to buy now, you have to buy now. That's just my opinion on that. Also, too, there was something really interesting going on in U.S. politics of sort of like, before I was telling you it's going to be a sweep. The Republicans are going to basically defeat the Democrats 100%. I'm not so sure. I would say the odds for the Democrats have improved slightly. They passed their basically inflation fighting bills. Whether or not they work, that's a whole other thing. I tend to think they're not going to work. And full disclosure, guys, you guys know this. I don't really like either party. I just try to keep it real of like which party I think is how can I say, beneficiary, or which party has the advantage. And so I still think Republicans have the advantage going into midterms, but I think Biden and the team still have a chance. So I'd say slightly better chance than before. Regarding presidential election, that's still a couple years away, so we won't talk about that yet. But I think in terms of the getting their things passed, the Democrats have certainly made a comeback. But at the end of the day, regardless of which party's in power, etc., here's the things that I believe Americans want to hear. They want to hear, okay, what are you doing about inflation? What are you doing about jobs? And what are you doing to help me? And I think one of the things that sort of irritate Americans, believe me, guys, I really understand this, is that a lot of people feel like that we're just spending so much money on Ukraine, right? And you guys know this. I don't think that we should let bullies do whatever they want, right? So I'm not thrilled about Putin invading Ukraine, and I'm just, I joined the Navy, the U.S. Navy, and I want to fight essentially bullies. But I also get that this idea that why are we sending a whole bunch of money overseas when we have Americans suffering here at home? We're paying high gas prices, we have homeless, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, guys, I really get that. And so that's why I keep saying, for politicians, I think, to do well here in the USA, given our stock market, given our economy, given the current situation, talk about jobs, talk about things that people care about, talk about their housing prices are through the roof, and talk about, trying to control fuel costs. So that's kind of my thoughts on the market today. Hopefully we'll get back to going more in depth, and I'll show you a bunch of charts and stuff. Like I said, we just arrived in Korea. I'm going to edit a video quickly as I can about sort of our trip. Let's tell you flat out, it is raining like crazy in Korea right now. You can see footage of Seoul being flooded, and it's unreal. I think it's like the worst in like 40 years or something crazy like that. So I'll share some footage of our travels as well. So I do appreciate everyone's support and understanding as we're trying to get settled and stuff like that. But it's fun to share this journey with you. Hopefully you can survive these markets. Me personally, I think the markets are slightly, I don't know what's the word, it's not slightly, just I'm bearish. That's all I have to say. I understand the markets are rally, but it's just like, maybe the party is over from here on. I don't see stocks going up from here on. I just don't see it. But if you guys have a different opinion, I'd love to hear the bull case of why you think stocks should rally from here. And or if you agree with me and you think, it looks more bearish. So thanks again for watching. I always appreciate everyone's time, and I'll catch you in the next video.